Becoming a nail technician requires a lot more than what people will actually tell you. I have personally been on TikTok and Instagram, and I have seen so many girls pulling out a fat stack of cash and showing it around and flaunting it pretty much. It's very easy to do that, but what's not easy is actually breaking down the real cost. So for today's video, I will be breaking down the expenses of becoming a nail technician so that by the end of the video, you can decide if it's actually worth it or not for you. Welcome to episode 1 of Business Ventures, where we pick a business and I will break down the actual expenses so that you can decide if it's actually worth investing in. Today's business is becoming a nail technician. A lot of people have recently been coming out from all age ranges talking about how much money they're making, showing it off a lot. And can you make a lot of money doing this? Absolutely, I totally believe so. But at the same time, when it comes to the money that people are showing online, they're not actually showing you the profit of that money. So let's break it down real quick. When I will be going over these expenses, I will say that I'm going to be using the average. A lot of the prices can differ significantly, but I am trying to keep in a mix of reasonable prices, but also quality. I will be separating these expenses into 3 categories, which will 1 be non-reoccurring costs, 2 reoccurring expenses, and optional expenses. There are a couple things that we will be assuming while breaking down these costs. One is that we are not counting rent. So I'm assuming that you already have a place that you're living and you're able to do nails there. I'm also going to be calculating a lot of these expenses as individual items rather than only looking at like a big kit that you can get for everything. Finally, I will not be including costs for classes. So there are actual classes out there to help you become a nail tech. I will not be including the cost of any of that. So let's begin. The first category, non-reoccurring costs. These will be purchases that will not have to be made consistently. So either you buy it when or done, or you just buy it and wait till it breaks, and that usually takes a while. All right, time to pull out the whiteboard. So we're gonna have first our non-recurring costs. So the first thing that I'm gonna add on this list is a desk, because you do need a place to be able to work. Now you may already have this, but a lot of nail techs may prefer to have their own desk considering the fact that it can get dirty. So keep that into consideration. Next is a storage drawer. You're gonna need a place to put all these products that we are about to get. And so our next one is going to be a gel lamp, $20. Our next expense, these you may have to replace, but probably not for a while. That's going to be $10. E-file, very important. These can actually range and get very, very expensive, but I tried to find ones that were like not too bad in price, and this is going to be $30. Finally, your implements. Now, when I looked this up, I had absolutely no idea what that was, but it's pretty much all like the metal tools that's used, so like a cuticle pusher, clippers, all that stuff. For a pack of these, it's about $10. So just for your non-reoccurring, we're sitting at $180. Now, our second category, reoccurring costs. These are going to be items that you will have to purchase again and again and again. So a lot of these are going to be disposable, but some of them are just going to be things that you're going to be using on a daily basis, such as monomer, for example. Which actually, monomer is going to be, wipe that off. Monomer is going to be the first one on our list. Coming at $20. Again, this is one of those items where the prices can range very significantly from being $80 all the way to being down to like $10. Next is your acrylic powder, which is going to be roughly around $30. Next are going to be our nail tips and our nail structures, which is going to come up to $15. Gel polish, very important if you want to actually paint the nails. And that is going to come up to being $30. So next is acetone and alcohol. I'm not going to write the whole thing because I'm trying to save space, but this is going to be your acetone and alcohol. $20. Duster, You're going to use this on people's fingernails. Now, some people don't consider this to be a reoccurring cost. I do, because if you're using that to dust off nail particles, you should probably replace that once in a while. Next is dental bibs. This, okay, you can use paper towels instead. Paper towels are cheaper, but I have definitely heard that dental bibs are much better than using paper towels, and also it can help with protecting your table, because dental bibs don't tend to bleed as much. It tends to hold a lot more moisture. So we're going to write that down. These are going to be 14 bucks. Nail glue, $8. Mask and gloves. This is important because you're going to be dealing with a lot of fumes from the acetone, from the gel polish. You're going to be exposed to a lot of chemicals from the acrylic, all that stuff. So please get this if you're going to do this. And that's going to come up to $20. This all equals $173, with our full total being $353. Our final category is our optional expenses. Optional, so pretty much optional expenses in this case are pretty much things that you either already have, probably things that you can have as an easy replacement for it, or things that you just don't need right off the bat. The big one is going to be our nail tech lamp. These are really helpful for nail technicians, but not required. $50. Next is a dust collector. If you've seen videos online, pretty much when you are filing down the nail, especially with the drill bits and the e-file, it releases a lot of dust, and you do not want to be inhaling that all the time. So wearing a mask is great, but also having the dust collector will ensure that you're not inhaling it. On top of that, it will help so that dust does not get everywhere. These ones actually can get pretty pricey, but I'm going to list it at $40. And the next one is disinfectant stuff. So this includes spray, wipes, disinfectant solution, so that you can clean your tools, clean your table, and make sure that nobody gets any infections, which is pretty important. For all of this stuff in particular, it's going to be around $50. It is so much because the disinfectant solutions that you want to soak everything in, you're going to be using a lot of it. So you're going to want to probably get a bigger bottle, but on top of that, those can get expensive as well. And if you did get all this stuff on top of all this, which again is not necessary, but you're going to be spending nearly $500 at spending $493. So this is our little breakdown. So assuming that we are simply going with this number of $353, in order to make your money back and break even, assuming that you are charging $50 per set, you're gonna have to do 7 sets. Honestly, this, looking at it for me, is not too bad. I don't really look at this and think, oh, that's like a really bad investment. But let's move on to our next section, which should also be taken into consideration when you're thinking about going into this field, and in my opinion can be a make or break, and why I would say not to become a nail technician, and that is opportunity costs. Opportunity costs are the missed benefits that you could have had by doing something else. For example, being a nail tech in this case, the opportunity cost is the time that you're spending doing nails. You could have been doing lashes and making more from it. So let's say you do 1 set of nails and it's $50. The opportunity cost is that you just spent 2 hours doing a set of nails for $50, and you could have been doing a set of lashes and made, let's say, $80. So that opportunity cost right there is $30 that you missed out on because you spent your time doing something different. So opportunity costs are everywhere and everything, but you do want to take this into consideration, especially if you are wanting to build a strong business and you're trying to find the most profitable business for you. So going back to how much that nail techs make, looking it up, I would say that the most I see nail techs usually making on the high end of average is $60,000. I don't believe this number includes any outliers such as like celebrity nail techs or anything like that. Now, the amount that nail techs make on average a year actually is significantly lower than that, though, at it being at $24,000 to $30,000 a year. For some comparison when it comes to, again, the opportunity cost, when it comes to like something like a lash tech, their average is $34,000 a year. So if you're making the high average for a nail tech 30 grand and the average for a lash tech 34 grand, you have an opportunity cost there of $4,000. So that is also something that is very important to consider when you're trying to go down this field. And that is honestly what is making me more so lean towards this not necessarily being the best business decision. But there are some exceptions. Do I believe that you can make $60,000 a year being a nail tech? Absolutely. I think that you can make way more than that, in fact, especially if you have a really good business plan. But the thing is, when it comes to becoming a nail tech, it is very saturated. Now, saturation does not mean impossibility, okay? But what it does mean is that there's a lot more competition out there. So if you're going into this and you're seeing all these girls flaunt their cash on, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and you're thinking about just doing it on the side and expecting to get paid a ton of money, that is where you are in the wrong business. If you're willing to put in the work, the time, build your skill for this industry so that you can thrive and do amazing in it, then yes, you are in the right place. I don't think the upfront costs, I don't think the recurring costs are too much if this is something that you actually are dedicated to. But something as a little side hobby where you just do it here and there, okay, you may make a little bit of money, but don't go around expecting that you are going to make what these people are flaunting on the internet. Make sure that when you are going into this business, you're counting your costs, you're counting your expenses along with your opportunity costs. If this is something that you're really inspired to be, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, do it. Create a business, create, your branding, your style, like invest in your skills, and then you can definitely make this a full-time job for you, and you can actually like expand and make way more than what you ever thought that you could. But you definitely have to be in the mindset of that, not in the mindset of easy money, not in the mindset of, flashy money, not in the mindset of I'm going to get 10 clients a day, but I'm barely even putting in that much work. So can you do it? Yes. But do I believe that you have to be in a space to do it? Also yes. So that's my opinion on becoming a nail tech, and that is a breakdown of all of the expenses. Thank you for watching my video. If you did like it, please consider subscribing so that you can grow on your financial journey as I grow on mine. If you have any businesses you would like me to cover, please leave it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!